Welcome to the Victorious POD podcast with your hosts, Jack Vickers and Tyler Herman.
What up, Pod Squad? Welcome back for another edition of the Victorious POD. We are coming in for some Week 3 previews, looking ahead to the weekend coming up here. Some DFS domination we're going to talk about, some picks we absolutely nailed this week, and unfortunately lots and lots of injuries. So, before we get into that, I'm going to welcome the brains behind the operation, my co-host Tyler, who comes in with all of the in-depth, detailed thoughts on the world's most pressing questions. So, for this one, I heard this on another show and thought it was interesting. I consider myself tall. You, I feel like, would consider yourself taller than average as well. So it begs the question: when people say they're tall or short, what's the threshold for that? Is there a specific height number to make you tall or to make you short? Is there any middle gap in between, or are you just one or the other side of the coin? What's the deal?
100%. I think it's the 6 foot mark. I know that's way taller than average, but I think if you tell somebody that you're 6 feet, people are like, oh yeah, you're pretty tall. But if you tell somebody you're 5'11", you're all of a sudden in the short group. Just it is what it is.
The number of people that probably say they're 6 feet and they are 5'11" and a half, and it's just like, no, you don't round up. Like,
yeah,
I'm technically 6'3" and 5/8, and I say 6'3". I don't round up to 6'4", because once you get that 6 number, it doesn't matter. So,
yep, exactly.
What about the other side? What would you have to be below, assuming as a guy, to be considered short? Not just like, average.
I mean, I don't think there's a lot of middle ground. So, I mean, I think if you're something under like 5'10", all of a sudden,
I was going to say that exactly.
Yeah, like 5'10" feels short, because at least 10 is a double-digit number, so people kind of get the perception of 10. But you say 5'9", and you're like, oh man, you're a tiny little man, and it's really not that short. It's really not that short, but yeah.
My only point I was going to make was something about double-digit numbers, and I'm like, that just seems like, like if I hear 5'10" being half a foot taller than that, to me that seems short, but I don't look at them and be like, whoa. Whereas like if I see a dude that's like 5'9", 5'8", I go, oh, damn.
Yeah. Yep.
It's very, it affects the positions you played growing up. I never learned how to dribble a basketball because I was 6 feet in like 3rd grade. So I just stand under. It's a whole thing. So
yeah,
anyways.
I bet you I was legitimately 5'2" until sophomore year of high school. And then all of a sudden I was 6 feet. Like, it was crazy. Like, I've been very short, and then I wasn't.
You learn how to do all this, like the technical stuff in sports, and then you get height anyways, whereas I dominated at a younger age because I was just bigger and taller, and then it was like, oh, everyone's my size? Fuck. So
yeah. I did get to learn have to learn how to dribble. And obviously you see my brothers, you saw Ryan and Cody, I'm like, they passed me up real fast. So I'm like, I'm gonna learn how to dribble, and I'm gonna stay out here.
They are trees. So yeah, that probably worked out in the long run.
Yeah.
Well, let us know if you have a different opinion. For any of you that are listening and you're 5'10" or shorter, I'm so sorry, but here we are.
Yep.
Moving into the fan interaction zone, the fizz, if you will.
Yikes.
Oh, good stuff.
Fizzle out. That was terrible.
All my jokes fizzle. So
I mean, that's Jackson.
Nah, God, I've been preparing for that for years. Now everybody's like, you can finally make those jokes. I'm like, you think I waited until I was a dad to make these terrible jokes?
That's true. They've been horrible forever. Don't worry, guys.
Everybody, we're going to start adding in a weekly terrible joke segment. So get ready for that. How to find us and get involved. Discord. We're going to get more active than that on game day one of these days, I swear. I think both of us end up just dealing with children and stuff during games, and I'm lucky if I watch the games. So there's that. But
yeah, it was birthday weekend, so I was doing other things.
It's different for you. Happy birthday to Tyler. I didn't even say it on the pod. I said it off air, but shout out to everybody. Everyone send him your gifts. Check his Amazon wish list, all that good stuff.
Ooh, yeah.
So, what was the big highlight of the birthday week? Day.
The weekend, I got to take Easton out to his first baseball game that he'll remember. So we went to a Twins game when he was legitimately like 6 months old or something like that, because he was born in April. So then we went that first season, so he's legitimately like 6 months old. So no way he remembers. We got to take him out to a Charlotte Knights game. So actually, right here. So got a couple presents for myself, but Charlotte Knights are the AAA affiliate for the White Sox. So there you go, Joe. If you actually listen, a little baseball for you. And so now if you don't listen, I'll know, because obviously you'll have to comment because I said something about baseball. So now I will know if you didn't listen.
It's like 6 minutes into the episode, too, so it's not even like you had to stick around long.
Exactly.
But nice. That's awesome. Did you have fun? Love it.
Yeah,
Baseball guy?
it was good for about 5.5 innings, but then it's still a baseball game for a 4-year-old. But it's a AAA game, so it's not Major League Park. So they had a bunch of kids stuff. So out in the outfield, they had a big bounce house and a giant like inflatable slide and whatnot. So it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Get him into baseball. Is he going to be main baseball player, are you thinking?
I think so. He seems to like that. He's actually doing soccer right now. So he scored a goal in his first game, so he really liked that. He's way bigger than everybody, as you know. So I mean, he's literally half a head, if not a full head, taller than most of the kids. So in his first game he scored. He had a lot of fun with that. But he likes baseball better because he loves to hit the absolute ever-loving crap out of the ball. Doesn't like defense yet. He'd play in the
Dingers
outfield
all day.
Oh man, so dingers for sure. So he likes T-ball better. He's excited for that to come back. They don't play it down here in the summer because it just gets too ridiculously hot. So soccer right now, and then we'll do T-ball in the fall again here.
He's got the bat flips down already. Trust me, I've seen that in action.
Yeah, they had a couple home runs in the game last night, and he was dingers.
You'll love to see it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, beyond that, Discord, YouTube, we're up to 121 subs now, so shout out probably to mostly Tyler's softball team, speaking of baseball, softball stuff, up from 115. Awesome. So shout out to you guys. The end of our episode last week, we did a whole draft grade thing for them. I would love for those of them that are listening now to like the following episodes to tell us what you thought of our draft grades, or if you were just like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, or so whatever. But give us a heads up. We'll be coming up with some more shorts in the near future here once we kind of get the start of the season established. So look for those and comment and check those out, and then social medias and all that jazz. So going into NFL news now, I really only added one big piece of news because there wasn't a lot of other stuff worth talking about that isn't going to come up naturally. So the only big one, Nick Chubb, for those of you that didn't see on Monday night, for the love of God, don't go look this up like I did when Tyler said it's gross. Don't look it up. It's like,
I tried to tell you not to. I tried my best.
There's a reason his name is spelt like it is. It starts with the letter C, and so does his leg now. So we'll leave it at that. It was rough. He is definitely out for the season. It's one of those where you hope he comes back next year to that level. So unfortunate.
I don't know. If you, for whatever reason, and you're a masochist and you want to go watch that, be one prepared, and it's not good. And most, again, who knows, Twitter doctors from what you've seen. You never really know, and Chubb's a different human, so he could heal really fast, but he's not a young guy either. He's not at the beginning of his career. It's the same knee he injured when he was at Georgia, and it's the complexity to which it looked. Again, we don't know. We're just two talking heads. We don't have a crap clue what's actually going on inside of his leg. But it looked really bad. It looked like it was going to be kind of one of those significant multiple ligament injuries, not just one thing, tear everything, mess up tendons. And that's usually longer than a year. And so if you get up to a year and a half, now we're obviously not looking at him to begin the season next year or potentially a pup candidate to start the year. And you're already at the tail end of your career. Like, it's tough. Nobody wants that to be the end of Nick Chubb's career, but it very well could have been.
Yeah, for those of you watching the game, that graphic that popped up where he was like third all-time in NFL history with yards, after contact or something?
Yeah, yards per carry.
Oh, just per carry straight up. I think it was contact.
Which is even more crazy in and of itself.
Yeah, especially playing on that terrible team for all those years. So very likable dude, very sad. I mean, it's not going to have it happen to anybody, but unfortunate when it's a guy who's like very fan-focused and like fantasy football friendly and very out there, popular in the league. So yeah, that's about all for that. Unfortunate. Not that I feel anything for the rest of the Browns, but Nick Chubb's a big dude, so that's sad.
Agreed.
And speaking of things that are sad, going into our Vikings 60-second synopsis that we'll try to keep it to again this week, since last week we got a little in-depth on the Tampa Bay game. But I'll just say we lost Thursday night as expected to Philadelphia, much closer than I would have assumed. It was 28-34, and we had a pretty solid second half, but I will let Tyler kind of give his thoughts on that.
I don't even need 30 seconds of the 60 seconds. It's copy and paste from last week. We turned the ball over at the most inopportune times. 4 turnovers to 1 turnover cannot win you a game. We stay in close games. If we don't turn the ball over, we win all of these games. Obviously, JJ's right at the goal line to turn it touchback was absolutely brutal. But we were in this game the whole time. We can hang with teams. We just got to play a complete game, or at least mostly a complete game, and I think we'll be just fine. Again, NFC North, my solace is that every single one of us lost. Every single NFC North team lost this last week, so we didn't lose any ground. So I'll take it.
Our run defense couldn't stop a turtle in a coma, and everything they did, they just ran at will. Mm-hmm. What's crazy is that we've had 7 turnovers through 2 games, and even this game especially, but between 2 games, Cousins has 1 pick. It's not interceptions; it's all fumbles, which seems like it always happened less often. They're more fluky, unfortunately. Yeah. Cousins looked great, especially for those of you that watched the game. He was getting smoked on almost every play, including that 1 touchdown to Addison. He stood in there and took a shot to throw it. So, I don't want to hear, granted it can happen later on, but Cousins was great in primetime, was not the reason we lost. I don't want to hear anybody saying that he is struggling and why we're 0-2. We should be getting blown out if it weren't for him. So very frustrating.
He's playing very well.
Speaking of Addison, it would be nice to see us finally make the switch to having him be the wide receiver too. Put him on the field, because 2 weeks now he's made a big highlight play, but he's not in a lot of the rest of the game because he's a lot less snaps than KJ Osborne, which is crazy. Hawkinson looked great. He had more yardage. He had 2 touchdowns, obviously. And like you said, copy and paste, Madison had a terrible game. So 8 for 28. Shocker. Just like I said.
Yeah. He's just looks so incredibly inefficient. He looks like he's running in mud. It's just ugly.
Mm-hmm. We have a little bit of a long week coming up on Sunday. We play at noon against the Chargers at home. And the Chargers are also 0-2. And they also feel like a better than 0-2 team. So that we kind of feel similar, where it's just we're losing games that we both should win, and our defenses are killing us. So I don't know which of the two I feel better about getting their first win. The money line is even despite us being at home. So that 3-point advantage, they just set on fire. So
yeah. I don't know. I still lean the Chargers to win, simply because I think their offense is more explosive than ours. So I'm taking the over. There's no question about that. Both defenses are absolutely trash. I'm sure it's one of the highest over-unders on the slate. I bet it's at least 51.5, if not 52. I'll look it up here in a second. But both defenses are not good. And if the Chargers get ahead, everyone's like, oh, well, maybe then they run it. Well, first off, Eckler's probably not going to be back. And on top of that, saw a stat earlier today, when the Chargers are ahead, they throw the ball more. They throw the ball more.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. They do not sit on a lead. They continue pedal to the metal. And again,
step on your throat.
Yes, Kirk has not been the reason. Their weapons are just so much better than every person that we have on defense. Keenan, Mike Williams, Quentin Johnson. Gerald Everett. It's going to be a high-scoring game in my opinion. But I lean Chargers just because I think we'll continue to turn the ball over or do some silly stuff.
Side note on that, it's a 54-point over-under. So
I was kind of close, 52, yeah.
It's even higher than that. So
crazy.
I would lead Chargers too. I think our only hope is Eckler sitting, and at least we can just, I don't want to say focus on the pass game because we can't stop that either, but clearly our run game is even worse on defense. So we'll see what happens. Moving into NFL Pick'em. Again, as a reminder, we're all picking 2 games per week here, so we're going to use all 32 teams by week 16. So comes into some strategy of whether you're saving the good teams for later or just getting ahead early. After week 2, we had Mac and Nate take the lead at 4-0 each. They used Mac used San Francisco and Buffalo, so 2 heavy hitters, and then Nate also used Buffalo along with the Saints. I am at 3-1 along with Nick, Connor, and Joe. I had Tampa Bay right, but Denver wrong. Nick had Tampa Bay right, but Denver wrong also. That's right, we copied last week. Connor got Philadelphia and San Fran right. He started out 1-1 and wanted to make sure he got those 2 safe picks. Joe also getting Philadelphia on Thursday night and the Colts as well. Then we got Tyler at 2-2. Started out 2-0, had a rough week, but he went with some upside swings, picking the Cardinals, who almost upset the Giants, and the Broncos, who almost upset the Commanders. So some crazy picks that almost worked out. Nobody thought they had a chance. Low level teams out of the way. So what can you do?
It is what it is. That would have been sweet.
Yeah. And then Foster in versus Tyler. He started 0-2. He got 2 right this week, but again, using the Cowboys and the Eagles. So, try to get those good teams to last as long as you can. But I get early on in the season, we don't know what to expect out of the middle team. So there's something to be said about taking the guaranteed layups, so to speak. So I will let Tyler tell you guys what's coming week 3.
Yeah, so super close in week 2, but got 2 of the worst teams in the NFL out of the way, so I feel good about that. Week 3, I'm going to take the Seahawks over the Panthers. Seahawks are at home. They look kind of iffy the first 2 weeks, so I think they bounce back here at home and get that victory straight up. And then I'm going to take the Jags at Houston. Wasn't really another second option that I liked a whole lot. If really the only other options, in my opinion, were like heavy hitter teams, otherwise coin flips, Raiders and Steelers and things like that. So I figured I'd go kind of upper middle tier as far as a second team. So I got Seattle over Carolina and the Jags over Houston. Jack also taking Seattle over Carolina, and he's going a little bit spicy and taking the Patriots over the Jets. Technically, Patriots are favorites, but they're on the road, so I think that's definitely a coin flip game. Nate's going Cowboys over Cardinals and Chiefs over the Bears, so 2 more heavy hitters out of the way for him. Connor going Jags over Houston, Dallas over Arizona. Joe's going Dolphins over Denver, Jacksonville over Houston. Foster's going Jacksonville over Houston, Seattle over Carolina, so same 2 picks as myself. Nick going KC over the Bears, Seattle over Carolina. Mac is going Jags over Houston, and Dallas over Arizona.
Come on, Texans. So many people have the Jags over Houston this week. I used them last week, so I couldn't take them again. But anytime you see the same team show up,
the Jags are at home, so.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. But it's a team
after having a tough game and them feeling like they should have hung even more so with KC. I think they're going to have a lot of fire this week.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Speaking of pick'em stuff, Minnesota Sports NFL season long pick'em on CBS. Shout out to our friends of the show that are running that bad boy. Tyler and I are both in on it this year, trying to beat my total of 168 last year. I think I took 5th last year, and 2 years ago I took 1st, so we're trying to bring another championship home between one of us. Week 2, Tyler and I both had 12 right on the week, thanks in part to me nailing the Falcons over the Packers. So,
hey, if anybody wants to go back and find a clip and put it in the group me, remember when Jack said, "Oh yeah, Packers over the Falcons," and I saw this little shit switch to the Falcons, and I texted him on Sunday, and he goes, "Well, injuries and blah, 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 and Aaron Jones is out and Christian Watson is out." I'm like, we knew both of those people were going to be out.
That's
on Tuesday.
Okay, them and Bakhtiari also out. I was like, I just don't think the Packers have enough weapons. So I switched it like 11:30 and was like, well, and that game could not have been closer. So that's a big help. Otherwise, Tyler would be past me. But Tyler and I are now tied at 21 for first place, along with a few other people through week 2. So 21 points out of the first 2 weeks. Not too shabby. Week 3.
I'll certainly take it.
Week 3, I'll read you off my picks, and Tyler's going to tell you his differences. So 49ers over Giants, Lions over Falcons, Bills over Commanders, Dolphins over Broncos, Jags over Texans, Ravens over Colts, Chargers over Vikings, Pats over Jets, Saints over Packers, Titans over Browns, Seahawks over Panthers, Chiefs over Bears, Cowboys over Cardinals, Steelers over Raiders, Eagles over Bucks, and Bengals over Rams.
Good job, Jack.
Any differences for you?
I'm going to take the Packers over the Saints. Packers are playing at home, so we'll see how Derek Carr does on the road. And then the only other difference I have is I'm going to take the other coin flip, and I'm going to take the Raiders over the Steelers.
Yeah, I like that one. That one and the
again, just at home. Really, the only reason for me, and we'll see. I mean, the defense looks incredible, but I think we'll get healthy Devontae. I think they said he'll be fine. Get Jacoby back in the lineup as well. Josh Jacobs had a horrible game. Again, very good defense for the Steelers. So we'll see if Josh Jacobs has another tough game. I might have to start sounding the alarms on that man. But I think they have a nice little bounce back, and at least keep it close enough to win at home.
You sound like John Gruden there talking about the Raiders. I tell you what, man. The Steelers, Raiders, and then the Lions, Falcons, I went back and forth on several times, but there's a bunch of coin flip games this week where I'm just like, I'm waiting until it's the same thing as the Packers, Falcons last week, where I'm like, please let there be like a big inactive that makes me decide one way or the other, because this is a tougher slate than I remember for like close matchups of middle of the road teams. So going into our underdog picks, ones where we try to show you the ones that we're picking against consensus. A couple of these guys in here we split on, so I just added them both. But Steelers over the Raiders. Steelers are favored by 51%. Titans over Cleveland, 53%, basically neck and neck. Saints and Packers, 41% for the Saints. Chargers over Vikings, 42%. So A few that were doing kind of the underdogs, even if they're not point underdogs. So, all right, moving into general fantasy talk, we are doing our Swimming Upstream pick of the week. So, last week, I had the first pick, so I went Jared Goff, Tyler's boy, getting 22.9 versus Seattle. I'm going to be honest, I thought he would have more. That seemed like a solid but not blow up Jared Goff game. So for being at home,
he did. He did well, but I definitely thought he got more points than that when watching the game. It was obviously a shootout game that went to OT. I mean, was it 37-31 or something like that? And Goff still not only, but only had 22 and change. It was like,
I'm not complaining. I think I only did that about 3 to 4 times last year where I had 22 points, so I'm not gonna whine about it. But Tyler's Brock Purdy, I expected his to be also higher because they put up 33, I think. But Brock Purdy versus the Rams had 14.7,
and it was higher. It was
the end.
They took the NFL went back and looked at the swing pass to Debo and made it a rush because it went more kind of sideways than forward, so they called it a lateral instead.
That's
so
crazy.
he did have whatever
18
because it was a touchdown. So he would have got the yards as well as from about 25 out. So I mean, he went from essentially 20 points down to 14. So I was like, sweet, he did awesome. And I went and saw him yesterday. I'm like, wait,
give me it back.
That one was kind of brutal. And they actually did it one other time as well to Ayuk. That was kind of a sideways one. Obviously didn't score, but treated as a lateral as well. So I was like, could have had a great game, but he does exactly what we said Purdy's going to do every game. He's going to throw it 2 yards, and his playmakers are going to do amazing things.
He has a very solid baseline. He's got that potential to have 20 any week because guys are going to take it to the house. So he might be our new Goff this year if Goff stays above 50% like he sadly is this week. So real quick, based on the totals so far, I am at 38.1 points through 2 weeks, which puts me at QB 8. Granted, everybody's super, super close right now, so this will spread out as we go. Tyler's at 28.7, which is QB 22, but 7 total points behind a QB 1 finish at 12. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. 10 points ain't enough. Yeah, literally, they were right there.
Literally.
We'll see what happens. I'm not used to being out in front, even if it's this early, so I'll find a way to blow it probably this week. But Tyler, you get the first pick, so take it away.
Yeah, most were kind of brutal this week. I didn't like a whole lot of the options, but I'm gonna go with my upset pick. I'm gonna go with Jordan Love at home against the Saints. He's had three touchdown passes both games, his first 2 weeks, 23 and 20. He's a QB2 on the year thus far. He chips in a little bit with rushing. He's had 2 rushes and 3 rushes, about 20-ish yards. So always bumps up that floor just a little bit. So again, I'm not expecting Jordan Love to have 3 touchdowns every single game. But if he gets you 250 yards and 2 touchdowns and 15 to 18 points, that's streamer territory. So I can live with that. So I'm going to take Jordan Love at home. We'll see if we get Aaron Jones back, and that's going to help in the receiving game as well. So give me Jordan Love against the Saints at home.
I like it. I am also going a seemingly safe pick, but not very much of a ceiling this week. I'm going Matt Stafford against the Bengals. Stafford's not done anything fancy. I think he's been 16 points or below the first 2 weeks, but he's played much better defenses. They had the 49ers, and then even the Seahawks defenses is not bottom half by any means. So going up against the Bengals, they've given up the 4th most points to quarterbacks over the last 2 games, and then even into the end of last season, they were terrible as well. And Stafford's got 300-plus yards in these first 2 weeks against bad defenses. That combined with, I know Kyron Williams has done great, but he's also a lot better in the receiving game. They're clearly shifting away from the Cam Akers plan, and I think they're going to throw with how good Tutu Atwell, Puka Nacua have been doing, Van Jefferson even. So even without Cup, give me Stafford this week against a bad defense, and even if by some miracle the Bengals actually come back to themselves, that just means they're putting up more points. So I like Stafford for kind of that same range. I think his baseline is like a 14, and I think he could get up to like that 18-ish range to be decent. So,
I like it.
All right. Moving into some more fan interaction. We had one YouTube comment on our last one, so this is where we're going to shout out any Discord, YouTube, socials, comments, interactions, stuff like that. Friend of the show, fellow Dynasty member, defending champ in the Passwords Taco League, Mac Rourke, asked, is Christian Kirk a worry, or was it just a bad week 1 versus the Colts defense / him being in the slot position? So I know we're talking post week 2's reactions now, but I'll let you weigh in since you answered him back.
Yeah, and my answer doesn't look great right now. There's no question about it. But the biggest worry was just the amount that he was on the field. So they were going to a lot less 3 wide receiver sets. So they were going a lot of 2 wide receiver sets and a tight end. And Kirk wasn't on the field. So he was on the field for only about 65% of the snaps in week 1. Big jump in week 2 simply because Zay got hurt. So he got hurt with about 6 minutes left in the first half, and he had a knee injury, and he didn't come back in until about halfway through the third quarter, maybe a little bit sooner than that. But Christian Kirk, it went bananas. The question has never been talent, but I mean, he had 11 catches, 110 yards, so he absolutely killed it once he was on the field. So it's never been a bet against his talent, because obviously we saw what he could do last year without Ridley, and again when he's on the field. And Ridley had a down game as well. So hopefully this is kind of that bounce back for Kirk, and he finds himself on the field more if Zay's injury lingers or anything like that, or maybe they start going to 3 wide receiver sets to say, hey, we need this guy in the field. So I think you're back to kind of where you were preseason with Kirk. You can't trade him. You can't do anything with it. I think you drafted him, and I think he's kind of right at ADP now. So the worry was there for me after week 1, but certainly encouraging after week 2.
Love it. All right. Well, if you guys have any questions like that about any of the players on your team that you're freaking out about, or if you don't know if you should believe in their explosions, let us know, and we can weigh in both on YouTube and shout it out on the show. All right. Moving into Skip It or Ship It, we have a little bit of a different theme this week. So this is our Sound the Alarm edition. Whoop, whoop. We're going to each be picking 3 players that have had slower starts than expected. And basically, we're going to let you know if we are personally worried about them, or if we should just maybe pump the brakes and kind of give them a little bit more time to work stuff out. So, Tyler, if you want to toss your 3 out first and let us know what we should be feeling.
Yeah, so the 3 that I'm looking at are Najee, Dameon Pierce, and Kyle Pitts. And if I had an alarm button, I'm smashing the alarm button for all 3 of these individuals. Najee doesn't even look like the best running back on that team. Jaylen Warren has looked amazing. I know as one of my preseason guesses for this is that it starts to become a split backfield. That certainly seems the way it's going. He just kind of looks like he's just not feeling it for whatever reason. And Jaylen Warren looks solid. Dameon Pierce, really the main concern was Devin Singletary. Honestly, that hasn't been the case. It really has been simply that Houston is very bad at football. They continue to stack the box. He has no room to run. And the other knock that people said he was going to get that he's not getting, and was, again, my argument for why I think he's going to be maybe flex territory, he's not getting the receiving work. He's not a receiving back, in my opinion. He's never going to get that. So Houston is going to find themselves continually in these negative game trips. So I see it continuing to be tough sledding for Dameon Pierce. And then Kyle Pitts, obviously this one hurts to my soul. I mean, I got him in Dynasty. I'm obviously a Falcons fan on top of that, but he can't get more targets than Jonnu Smith. Like, he's literally splitting work with Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith had more receptions, more targets, everything this last week than Kyle Pitts. It's already a low volume passing attack. So Pitts, if he can't get it going in there, he was the least targeted wide receiver or receiver in general on the field last week. He only had 5 targets, which again, if that's worse than Jonnu Smith, something is not right. So I don't understand his utilization. If you don't like him, just get rid of him. Send him to Dallas or somewhere so I can be happy. But 100%, I'm full sound of the alarm on Najee, Dameon Pierce, and Kyle Pitts.
Real quick, just 2 cents on those. Kyle Pitts, on a week where Ritter went from 18 in pass attempts to 32, and he still can't get it. I can get it if the reasoning is Ritter holding you back. But Ritter actually had an okay passing game, and Pitts still just... I feel like this
my main concern.
Offense can only sustain 2 weapons a week, and Bijan's locked in as one of them. We saw week 1, Algier was the other. We saw week 2, Drake London was the other. I think there's going to be like 3 to 4 weeks this season where Pitts is that other one, but the rest of the time, you're not even getting a 3, like a 2.5 or a 3. Like, it's either it's him or it's one of the other guys, and that's it. So that scares me. Real quick on Najee, I will say, for those of you, I'm biased because I'm an owner everywhere, but those of you that are slightly more worried, like Tyler here, they've played two very, very good defenses in the 49ers and the Browns these first 2 weeks. Week 1, Najee had 5.2 yards per carry. Granted, the team itself only had 10 total rushes, but Najee was much better, and Warren didn't do anything in the receiving game. This past week, Warren was a lot more active in the receiving game, so I think that's going to be where he starts to take some of that work that Najee always just got by default. But even then, rushes-wise, Najee was 10 for 43. Jaylen Warren was 6 for 20 on the ground. Both weeks, he has doubled Jaylen Warren's yards per carry. Granted, he's getting more of them too, but even on games where they're losing or doing badly against good defenses, he's still not only getting the volume, but doing better yards per carry wise. So I think he is still not somebody I would be full panic mode on. If that starts to happen where they're ahead or they're running more, then I'm worried. And I think this defense, kind of the same thing as Pierce, is going to hold Najee back to an extent regardless. So that doesn't feel good, but I wouldn't be totally freaking out and going all Warren on him at this point. Again, biased. So we'll see.
No, I get it, and it certainly makes sense. There's clear talent there. It's so hard for me to see when you get these 55-45 splits. It's hard
Agreed.
to be I feel like there's just no way he takes back enough of that role to especially return ADP.
Yeah, he was always the volume king, so that part I agree with.
Right.
I just would be more worried if Warren was at least looking efficient in his touches.
True.
And so far he's not, because they both are on a bad offense. So that at least, the worse Warren does, the better I feel about Najee. So my 3 quick ones, there's some common ones that have been talked about, but higher ADPs at their position. Justin Fields, Jamar Chase, George Kittle. I am worried about 2 of them much more than the other one, but I think it's going to take a little while before you see some big return on all 3 of them, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Fields was a lot of people's big breakout pick just because of how much he ran closing the season last year. He's not really running at all so far. He had, I think, 50 yards game 1, which isn't bad, but by his standards, it's not amazing. Week 2, he had 3. So everybody's now panicking, oh my God, is he not even like Brady's had games with more rushing yards than that? So that's his game. He's not a good enough passer without it. So if he's not running at least 50 yards a game, his baseline and upside is gone. And on top of that, everybody's kind of making memes about it, but he's just looked bad at decision making this year. He's intending to run when he's got wide open receivers and running right into the back of his linemen, or he's standing looking around with guys open and taking 3 to 4 sacks a game that aren't needed. So I don't know if it's it feels like the yips or what's going on, but it's not feeling good compared to the steps he made last year. So I am on full panic alert on. Hopefully you didn't draft him early, but you kind of just have to hold it and hope something happens. George Kittle, I'm also super worried because he's always been known as when he plays, when he's healthy, he's the big upside guy. He's been totally healthy both weeks, but he's had 3 catches each game and 30 yards or less. There's no big play upside so far. And we were already worried about all the other weapons in that passing attack. So same thing as Kyle Pitts. He's going to be the guy a few weeks of the season, but all those other weeks, I think you're going to be hurting. So talent's there. I'm concerned. Lastly, Jamar Chase. This is more just the Joe Burrow side because he re-aggravated his calf injury this week. So Burrow returning too quickly is holding this offense back. Jamar is not been a top 3, top 4 pick so far. So that's hurting a lot. You finally get a Bengals wide receiver exploding in this last week, and it was T. Higgins instead. So I'm less worried because it's Jamar. You're going to start him no matter what because he has that potential. But I'm not feeling great for those of you that drafted him when you could have had the Tyreek Hills or even going down to the Bijans, other receivers that are doing well. Diggs has been super consistent both weeks. It's making me skittish because Jamar has in the past had some boom bust weeks. So Jamar is a holding pattern. The other 2 are full panic alarms, but not feeling great in all 3 high picks at their spots.
Yeah. Wide receiver 63. 63. Ooh, baby. Yeah, that's I'm with you on Jamar. I mean, he's going to go as Joe Burrow goes. The re-aggravation is not good, but I think in 3 weeks he'll be just fine. Joe Burrow will figure it out. He'll rehab. He'll be fine. I get the re-aggravation, but I think better days are ahead for that entire Bengals offense. Kittle, I'm always worried. I told you preseason I was worried because as silly as it sounds, they don't need him. His best football asset might be his blocking.
Yeah.
And guess what? That doesn't equate to fantasy points. You got plenty of other people who can catch the ball to the backfield, catch those short swing passes, make sure Purdy stays upright, and Kittle's probably the best tight end in the game at doing that.
Yep. Well said. Let us know who you're sounding the alarm on early on in your season, or if you disagree with any of our 6 guys there, and we'll let you know our thoughts too. Going into the unique league section, bomb squads and butt cheeks. For those of you that don't remember, we each have 3 teams out of the 32 in the NFL. It's a 10-person league, and we're just trying to go for most wins or most losses. It's not working out great for Tyler and I so far. He went for all wins with the Bills, Chargers, and Browns. He's 2-4 after a 1-2 week again, with the Bills winning over the Raiders, but the Chargers and Browns finding a way to lose. Meanwhile, I went for the worst teams, trying to get most losses with the Texans, Raiders, and Commanders, and I'm freaking 500 because the undefeated Commanders are ruining my season. They accidentally won again by 2 against the Broncos. The Texans and Raiders both lost big, so they're doing what I was expecting them to do. But I'm 3-3 after doing week 1 at 2-1, so I'm not super worried. I think I'm only 1 game behind the losses person, but we'll see what happens. So week 3 preview, my teams played the Bills again, the Jaguars, and the Steelers. Washington, for the love of God, lose a game. I think that they're the ones playing the Bills, so if they don't,
Yeah.
I could easily see my Raiders upsetting Pittsburgh like we talked about, which is basically a coin flip, so that makes me a little nervous, but the Texans should be also losing to the Jaguars, so I feel probably a 2-loss week coming and a lucky 3-loss. So,
yeah, my guys, my team, I've got the Titans, the Commanders, and then Minnesota. So Chargers, Minnesota. High scoring game could be a coin flip. Hopefully we can get a win there. Who is it? So the Bills,
Browns and Titans are together too, and they're a coin flip.
Yeah, I was like, Browns, Titans is the coin flip as well, and Bills should take care of the Commander. So
Please,
we shall see. I'll help you out, Jack.
Yeah, appreciate that. Guillotine League, 18-team league, bottom score dropped every week. Through 2 weeks, we're alive. Great. I don't know who saved me Michael Thomas is. They switched their team last minute, but no clue who got eliminated. So
I think it was Dan Schmuck. Not that you know who that is.
Oh, what a schmuck.
Yep.
Well, his good players that were cut and are up on the waivers now. Trevor Lawrence, Ramondre Stevenson, DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Thomas, and Travis Kelce. So how this works, we all have $1,000 or less if you spent some. And you can go bid on those players. Or you can wait and hope your 18-person drafted team is good enough to survive. So just don't be last. Looking at some bids from last week for a note, I'm just going to put some of the top ones each week. Jalen Hurts went for $317, making me feel great drafting Josh Allen early. Mark Andrews went for $225. Scarcity at tight end, I get. Damian Pierce, 82. Khalil Herbert went for 75. That was me. I didn't expect to get him, but I just kind of needed one more flex guy, or so I thought. And then George Kittle for 67. So some big dollars right off the bat, but some people are closer to the bottom and needing to spend more. So any quick thoughts from our team? The only points I wanted to note was I meant to write Mostert, but I went Monster, and that's accurate because he went off. So feeling great as my RB2 with Derrick Henry.
I was wondering what that meant.
It was a total typo doing that quicker work. So he felt great as my RB2 for now. He's one of those guys I picked to just start the season and figure it out later if he got hurt.
Yeah.
I also had Gus Edwards in like the 13th round, looking like an amazing pick now with Dobbins out because he got all the work. And Nico Collins is my other flex. So my starting lineup feels like a 12 to 14 man lineup that could actually be decent versus an 18 team league. So nobody on the bench worth talking about for depth, but starters feel good. So I might not need to spend some money for a while.
Yeah, my starters finally decided to be the starters that I drafted. So like I got Lamar and I got Saquon, I got Tyler Lockett. So I mean those 3 performances in and of themselves kept me alive because I think the low score is like upper 60s, low 70s, and between those 2, if I add them up, that's 20, 40, 60, 73 with just those 3. They scored 73 of my like 101. So the rest of my team is terrible. So I might have to I really need another receiver just in a PPR league. They're not great. And now, especially if Saquon is hurt as well, and he's going to miss a couple weeks, I was like, I might have to go get Ramondre or something. Ramondre or something because it's looking bad right now. But one more week, and then I got Kamara as well. So I kind of went for a couple swings. So that'll be nice, and especially if now Jamal Williams is going to miss some time and Kamara back after this week. If I can survive one more week, I'm feeling good.
Yeah, that's a really good timing with Jamal being hurt now. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll keep you updated. Hopefully we make that one long so I don't have to just delete that segment. Best ball. Week 2 results. I bounced back after a rough week 1. I got a top 3 score and won that week. Tyler lost because he played a freaking 223-point week in a normal best ball standard scoring guy.
Crazy.
So big shout outs for me with Daniel Jones getting 31.7 as one of my 2 active best ball quarterbacks, and Marvin Mims with 20 plus points. So big to get to 500 for me. Appreciate that.
I didn't have a whole lot. There's nothing I could do when you play the team that scores 223 points. I was like, I had Lamar, I have Kyren Williams as well, so that was super helpful. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Diggs. So I mean, I had a 160-point week, so nothing to scoff at. But I played Cousins, I played DeAndre Swift, I played Mostert, I played Keenan Allen, I played CeeDee Lamb, I played George Pickens. Like I played fucking Chase Claypool. Like, come on, like, so it's crazy. So. 223, can't do much about it.
Yeah, we're both 1-1, so we're hanging in there. We'll see. Not that there's any effort involved anymore, so I'll take it.
Yeah.
And then the DFS League, our weekly challenge with scores added up for the full season. If anybody still wants to hop in, let me know, and I'll just give you the average of the first 2 weeks to stay alive. So 18 total people playing. The top 3 scores of the week I'll shout out every week. Yours truly with 183.72, with the high score in the season, beating week 1's week. Jordan, number 2, 179.12 right behind me. And then Glick, number 3, 170.92. So some big scores this week. Yeah. Again, just a pretty standard lineup. 3 receivers, 1 flex, PPR, but still. I need to compile week to week, so I need to go on the websites, but I'll start posting the top 3 of the week and then the top 3 current on the leaderboard starting next week, just so you guys can kind of see how far behind you are. Really quick, top fire or value picks of the week at a couple of positions. Daniel Jones, 34.7 out of 6,000. Russell Wilson, 30.9. Brian Robinson, 28.9. Kyren Williams, 28 as well. Keenan Allen, 34.1 at 7,100. Puka Nacua, once again, 33.1 points down at 4,900. And then Mike Evans, I think we both might have had him. 33.9 points. So he was a big one of the week I talked about. And we'll get into next week's pick a little bit later in the betting corner. So real quick, off to Tyler for the matchup recap.
Yeah, going into the Victoria's Secret League, again, we get 2 wins each week, head-to-head top 6 scores. So rattling down the list, I took down Ryan. I had a high score of the week, 155. Foster over Jay, Alex over Jack, Ben over JWoww, Walters over Cassie, and Josh over Glick. So we got a mess of us at 3-1, but Ben sits at the top of the leaderboard right now at 4-0. And over into the Dynasty Leagues, we've got Deflate These Balls and Taco. I took my revenge, Jack. I took it. Wasn't much you could do. I had a pretty good score. Anyway. Yeah, you lost anyway. But Jack missed with the Eckler thing going on. It's fun to have sick children, isn't it? Makes life a whole lot harder.
I even switched it. I just apparently don't know how to click save, so that's fun.
So wouldn't have mattered anyway. I think I had like 105 to like 75 or something like that. So yeah. And then over in the Taco side, less fun, more fun for Jack. His team is obviously the best in the league by far, and that's not a jinx at all.
Mac,
I promise you're going to go undefeated and win the championship. Jack will never lose again, and all of his team will stay healthy.
That's the nice part. It don't matter if my team stays healthy.
You have so much depth. It's crazy.
But Mac is starting the year 0-1 and then putting up 173 week 2 scares me a lot. So
yeah,
not ideal for the defending champ.
And it's only a half PPR, folks. It's not a full PPR, so that's a crazy score. I'm like, I put a 155 and a half PPR, and that's nasty. And he put a 170 something. I did not. My team is just. I legitimately might just switch over to tank mode. It's honestly been that bad. Like JT. I traded for JT in the offseason, really hurt. Deontay Johnson getting hurt. Kyle Pitts is my tight end, is just obviously not doing anything for me. So, like, my second running back after Bijan is, like, Damian Harris. And, like, mine, I did Deion Jackson. Like, it's just brutal. And Zay Jones, one of my receivers, 0 for 6 on his receptions, plus got hurt. So I'm like, I had zeros that scored like 63. So I'm like, do I just tank? Is this okay after week 2? It seems like it's going that way. It's
I
bad.
made it through week 5 before I realized I was tanking. I didn't even know it was happening, and I was 0-5 just like that.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
looks like a team that would look really good with Najee on it. I just have to say. So
Wow.
well, we'll see if I can somehow find a way to move to 3-0 in that league because I played Nick this week. So we'll
Good
see.
luck with that.
Oof, it's gonna be tough. Maybe I can make him get a win for you, and then you can pass him in the tanking.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, dude, just go ahead and you have 1 week tank because you'll be fine the rest of the week.
That's true. That's true. I can
rest of the
toss
time.
one. I thought about that because I own 2 other teams that are borderline non-playoff teams, first rounders, and I'm like, if I play them late in the season, do I just lose on purpose or try to knock them down and affect the draft position and blah, blah, blah? So we'll see what happens.
I like it.
all
The
right.
collusion against yourself is that it's not against yourself because you have them.
This is I'm kicking my ass.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Moving into the ad/drop it like it's hot. Quick little key waiver targets. I'll just give a couple per position. We won't really go into them a lot because most of them are probably pretty obvious that you guys have heard for injuries wise. But quarterback, Sam Howell, CJ Stroud, both under 10%. CJ's actually looked good as a rookie this last week. Running backs, this is the theme of injuries. Jerome Ford for the Browns, 9%. Matt Breida backing up Saquon if he misses, 1.1%. And Craig Reynolds, who's poised to take the David Montgomery role. If you hear that name and have no idea who he is. Gibbs, obviously the main benefactor, but don't be surprised if Reynolds gets some touches. Wide receivers, Josh Reynolds, especially if Amon-Ra is hampered this week. Tank Dell and Devontae Parker all under 5% owned. And then tight end, not as much. But Hunter Henry's looked better than expected with Mac Jones' rapport, 34%. So if he's out there, he's worth a shot, maybe for those Kyle Pitts owners. And then Luke Musgrave at 17%. So not a lot of big names, but there's a few to keep your eyes out for with waivers running. And then, quickly, any big dollar ads, we just like to shout it out from one of our leagues that does waiver fab bidding. If you're not doing that versus waiver priority, you're missing out. But we had Ryan add Luke Musgrave to replace David Njoku, who we dropped for $9. Foster added Rashid Shaheed for $12 and Kendrick Bourne for $19. And then Tyler spent up big to get Justice Hill for $32. The RB2 in Baltimore apparently now.
It's just brutal.
And then Ben adding Zay Jones for $37 on the week that Christian Kirk bounced back. That was tough also. So not a lot of big difference makers, but some money spent. You got to do it early to get your guys. So many of us end up with money left over at the end of the year. So it's like, why are you saving your fab for week 10 when we already know who everybody is?
Yeah. And so kind of like I mentioned last week, I was like, people are going to look at this and be like, what? No, nobody picked up Puka. Nobody picked up Kyron Williams. Nobody picked up. Guys, we drafted all of those players. We drafted all those players.
They were gone. Even
if you
was
look at a waiver wire
Thursday
column,
night.
yeah, if you look at a waiver wire column, they're owned in our league. That is just how it is. I'm like,
This is me prepping the notes for waivers. I'm like, okay, skip them. Cool. Here's somebody for 2% owned.
Yeah, it's, believe me, I was like, we're on top of it. This is legitimately year 15 of this league. So everybody in this knows what they're doing.
Everybody just, I think, knows not to pick up the veteran that might be 40% owned, but is only going to get you 6 in favor of the guy you could drop in 2 weeks, but might be big. So it's just, you're always behind no matter what. If you are hearing about them on a talk show, it's already been taken. So.
100%. You better guess right and be a week early or 2 weeks early before being a week late.
Yeah. That's why I literally, immediately after the draft, spent $1 to pick up Kendra Miller because nobody drafted him. So I was like, it's not going to matter as soon as somebody misses time. So I'll just sit him on my bench for 4 weeks and wait. Anyways.
I digress.
Real quick, moving into the Jack of all trades segment for any trades, because I think it's fun to discuss and hear real people make real trades based on team context. We had one dynasty trade in the Password is Taco group. Foster traded a 24 second, a 25 first, and Alec Pierce, for context, he is probably on the top half contenders, so these are expected to be later, to Glick for Mike Evans. So Foster getting Mike Evans back. We have not talked about this off air, so I was actually curious to hear what your thoughts were, so I'll let you just give you 2 cents first.
I honestly don't even remember seeing this trade go through, so I'm trying to...
Didn't see it. Foster texted me and goes, "Coming for you, Jack." And I go, "What? What are we talking about?" He goes,
where are we going? Did we have dinner plans?
It's like, I made a trade for a big receiver. I didn't even get the notification, so only reason I saw it.
Now that I'm looking at it, I do remember seeing it as well. So I think it makes sense for Foster. I'm surprised. It seems like a lot to give up for Mike Evans. Just being, again, a 2025 first. I know, again, it's like, 2025. But Foster's team is good. So if it turns into a back half in 2025, I mean, maybe it's fine. But I think it's still a little bit overpay. Alec Pierce does nothing for me, and it seems like a useless piece. So essentially a second and a first. I mean, I guess it feels like a little bit of an overpay from Foster's perspective, but I know he's going for it right now, and Mike Evans has obviously started really hot. So, yeah, I like the value for Glick, I guess. In this one, I'll take the picks.
I do too. In a vacuum, I think I like Glick's side. The only caveat I will say is that this is very similar to the me and Jordan trade for Diggs and Quentin Johnston, where it's like these guys are both contenders. So I was a little surprised to see Glick give up Mike Evans, but I also get like making a little bit of contingency plans in case he's not a top 3-4 true contender this year, just to move on, because it is an overpay for Mike Evans, but it's also not like you said, it doesn't mean a lot for Foster if he has a true chance to win this year. So it's also funny because I thought it was an overpay, and then obviously Evans has started the first 2 weeks amazingly, so it looks better. And then at the same time, I feel like Foster made this trade after week 1 because Drake London went out and put up a goose egg. And then week 2, he was good. So it's like, well, now who do you start and blah, blah, blah. So it's a little interesting after week 2. We'll have to kind of revisit once the fallout happens farther on. But in a vacuum, I like Glick's side more. Based on their 2 team contexts, I guess I like getting Mike Evans more with them both being contenders. But it's a win for both in that way.
Yeah. Well, I'll just give you this one to you quick, just since obviously it just happened. So I'm sure you saw it, right? In DFE with me and Alex.
Yes, but I don't remember what all it was. It was Gibbs with Andrews on the other side. And
so I gave him Gibbs and Kadarius Toney, and I got Mark Andrews and Terry McLaurin.
For me, Toney is Alec Pierce in this, where you just drop him off the entire trade.
Agreed. I don't know why he wanted him, but I just said okay.
Jacket, green jacket, who gives a shit? It's basically Gibbs for Mark Andrews and Terry McLaurin. Mark Andrews is the guaranteed commodity in this. Gibbs is the more exciting upside. But for me, I think the combo of Andrews and McLaurin I'm not in love with. I feel like he's more of like a low wide receiver 2, high wide receiver 3. So like he's, not great, but he's a good depth piece. But I feel like him added in wins it for the Andrews side for me. Assuming you have the running back players to survive giving up Gibbs. That's I guess the only trade-off.
Yes. And I do in that, and kind of why I did that. So people are gonna crazy, and I'll get roasted for this one, but I'm like, I traded away Bijan as well. So I've just been afraid to bring it up on the show. But I got James Conner and Javonte Williams and Chris Olave for Bijan in that one, and then so now I've traded Gibbs for Mark Andrews and Terry McLaurin, and I still have Tony Pollard, and I have James Conner, and I still have Javonte Williams as well. And I have DeAndre Swift as well. So I feel like I had that running back depth, and I have no tight end. Like that was my main thing. I've never had a tight end in this league. So getting a tight end and getting a serviceable wide receiver 2 for that depth felt good. And I felt like I had the running back depth with Pollard, Javonte, James Conner, and DeAndre Swift to kind of make up for Jahmyr Gibbs and kind of make a closer run to it now within the next 2 to 3 years. If I can find like a QB now is really all, I think, honestly, all I feel like I need.
Yep, agreed. That's as long as you have the running backs like you do, then it makes total sense for that. If not, it would be very, very tough. Like most teams that have Gibbs are probably bad. So in that context, it's tough to give him up. But locking in a Mark Andrews type, I traded for Mark Andrews in a dynasty league in the offseason too. Like it's very, very nice having that, not having to play the roulette every week. So for that, that alone, very, very nice. All
Fantastic.
right. Notable injuries. We'll do these quick because we've talked about a lot of them already. Nick Chubb, I put destroyed leg. They haven't come out with exactly what's happened yet, but he's out forever. So you can just drop him in redrafts and then pray and hope in Dynasty. Deontay Johnson, IR, out for 4 weeks. Jalen Waddle, concussion, very questionable. Amari Cooper, groin, very questionable, says it's unlikely he plays. Saquon, ankle sprain, estimated at 3 weeks, but we will see. Joe Burrow, re-aggravated calf strain, questionable. Anthony Richardson, concussion, left a game by the second time in 2 games, questionable. Devontae Adams, concussion, but he is expected to play. OBJ, ankle, it says he's estimated to play. And David Montgomery, they're calling a thigh injury, and he's week to week, so they're expecting it to be a couple of weeks. We will see. But those are the big ones. So if you've got any of those guys, please watch as the week goes on and be careful, or be picking up your waivers accordingly. So with that, we're going to toss it over to Tyler for the betting corner and run through some of these bets of the week.
Awesome. I'll keep mine short and sweet. I killed it this week. No, I just looked at the board and saw it incredibly well. So my early teaser cashed with my Eagles Falcons and Titans. So that netted me 1.35 units. Got my props up, hit my Derrick Henry over rushing attempts, hit my DJ Moore over receptions attempts for plus money. My lone loss for the week was Jahan Dotson over 3.5 reception. He had 3 on the first drive and then proceeded to not get another one. So that was kind of brutal. But overall, that still netted me 2.3 units on the week. So after down 0.6 units last week, plus 2.3 this week. So we're up 1.7 units on the season. So I like that. Haven't put together my teaser yet this week. I got a few on there. Probably tease the Bills down would be my guess to essentially pick them. I got another one that I was looking at. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. There's a couple that were like that 6.5. That essentially I'm going to tease them down to pick them, and then push forward from there. And then props will come out on Friday.
Nice. All right. Continuing the betting corner with my DFS targets, kind of the same situation. DraftKings challenge lineup doesn't go active until tomorrow morning, so I can't give you my entire week breakdown for dollars and everything, but I will. I'll try to start putting maybe a video out of those on Friday or Saturday just to let you know, because I tinker with it a lot as injuries show up and all that. So really quick, as I talked about before, also killed it this week. Took first in my entire competition with 183.7 points. You guys see it's a 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, a flex, and a tight end and a defense. Sorry, no flex. Yeah, 1 flex. Tight end and defense. So pretty standard team to be putting up 183. My wins of the week. Almost everybody had a fire symbol next to him. So Jared Goff, James Conner, Zach Moss, I was pumped on because I called him out last episode. Amon-Ra, the stack with Jared Goff. Mike Evans exploded, and the Bucs defense for cheap did really well. Really, my only loss in the week was Romeo Doubs. I subbed him in last minute because Watson was out and Aaron Jones was out, and I don't believe in A.J. Dillon. So I feel like the logic was sound, but it all just went to Jaden Reed instead. So what can you do? As far as this week's lineup, I, again, will kind of tinker with this, but some guys that I like that are on the cheaper end, so not the all-stars. For quarterback, I think you could pick either the Vikings or the Chargers quarterback in this week's matchup because it's going to be all offense, but I like Cousins especially at 6,900 versus the Chargers. Stacking him with the tight end of the week, TJ Hawkinson versus the Chargers, because I think, again, they're just going to keep focusing on Jefferson and take stuff away. And until we see Jordan Addison clearly be giving the number 2 targets, I think Hawkinson's going to continue to get lots of targets. 7 the first week for catches, 8 the second week for catches, touchdown, red zone looks, all that good stuff. At running backs, I'm going fairly cheap. I've got Brian Robinson, 5,800 versus the Bills. That might sound gross, but last week they couldn't stop the run at all, and Brian Robinson's clearly being given all the looks, so kind of Gibson as an afterthought. I think 5,800 is pretty cheap for him to spend. And then Gus Edwards, same thing. He is being given all the work. I know Justice Hill stole a touchdown, but Gus Edwards for the Ravens versus the Colts, very bad run defense, also down at 5,300. So really, really like that pick. My 3 wide receivers of the week, I've got Zay Flowers versus Indy with OBJ being hampered. I think Indy's not going to be able to stop a whole lot, so I'm looking at either one of these 2 Ravens guys. I would love to get one of them in your lineup for sure. Keenan Allen on the other side of that Vikings-Chargers game. I think targets is great. Our linebackers in pass defense are not good, and our secondary is not good, so expecting him to be a high-volume target guy is probably very, very likely to happen. And then Nico Collins, still low despite his explosion the first 2 weeks of the season. 5,300 versus the Jaguars. Not a great passing defense. They're probably going to put up a lot of points, so Houston's going to have to throw just like they do every week. So some of my cheaper guy targets. And then lastly, defense, I'm not ever spending up this week because it seems like the safe defenses are the guys that put up like 8. They're never the ones that explode like you hope because they get up early and then they play prevent defense. So I'm going cheaper. I'm doing the Jets at 2,800 versus the Pats. It's going to be a ground and pound game that they're going to try to keep themselves in it because their offense can't do anything. So that is the lineup of the week. And again, I'll let you guys know once I get some of my stars in there and my bigger players. But that is it for DFS going. So. All right.
Awesome.
We can cut it out, but you're good to do the draft quick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just figured we'll edit that part out. Perfect. All right. Moving in, finally, to our first of the season. We are bringing back... Oh.
Hold on. Get this to refocus.
Son of a...
There you go.
Okay. Finally, we are bringing back one of our favorite segments, the 4 Horsemen Weekly Draft. We've been talking about it forever, but we kept doing other draft grades and stuff, and we just couldn't get people to stop asking us to do it. So finally, this is back. For those of you that don't remember, it's our only non-football related thing where we pick a random ass topic and Tyler and I go head to head drafting, and then we ask all of our friends to vote and see which team is better. So this one is truly the first time that neither of us have done any prep. Usually we say, oh, I wasn't very prepared, but I have a few that I looked up and whatever. We had nothing. So we are doing best months. Take that what you will, whatever, seasons wise, holidays, whatever you want to do. That's it. We had a season 1 total. I did pretty well on that one, but it's a new day. So Tyler's going to try to come back here. Based on that, do you want to go first or you want to go?
No, go ahead. You can take it. You're the champ. I'll play catch up.
I don't want it though. God, best month. That's very subjective if you guys like certain.
How many months? How many were we picking again? I don't even remember. 4?
4 each? Yeah, so there's going to be 4 months that are just F you. And I bet, okay, once it's your pick, I'm going to write down the 4 that I bet we don't pick because I can guess it early, the ones that suck.
Yep.
For me, what's going to come back to me? I am going to go with a month that
is one of the 12.
I am going to go with we're going to go whatever the opposite of recency is. Anticipation, we'll say. I'm going to go with October because I love that season of the year. I love fall very, very much. I think Halloween's an amazing holiday. It's fun whether you're younger or old. The whole dressing up concept is one of the only holidays that's not just let's all sit at a table and eat food and talk and it's the same as every other holiday. It's a fun thing. You go and get candy, you dress up as crazy things. It's also like kind of heart of the football season. It's also an amazing person's birthday, so I love that. And yeah, the colors are good.
Mine's in September.
Yeah, that's why I didn't pick that one. Duh. October 8th, for those of you that are wondering. And then the colors are pretty cool. The colors associated with, orange, black, everybody's favorite spooky season type of thing, haunted hayrides, haunted houses, stuff like that. So it's a solid month, no matter what weather area you're in, what part of the country you're in. So that's what I'm going with first.
Halloween is my least favorite holiday of all time.
What? Oh,
Can't
you
stand
don't like
it.
spooky stuff. That's why.
I do not.
Is that the reason? Is just because it's spooky stuff, or is it?
I hate spooky stuff.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like I hate candy or I don't like kids bringing.
I'm not a big candy guy. I don't mind it. I'd love a good Twix, but other than that, no. So for me, I mean, one I'm obviously taking is December. I'm taking Christmas all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. So there's no question about that. I'm taking December, and then I am taking. I've got to take for all my Midwest peeps. I got to take June, simply because it's the start of summer. The start of summer. The getting out of winter, which can run in the Midwest through May, pretty much all the time, is brutal. But June starts to be kind of that. Hey, summer is actually here. I can actually go outside and constantly wear shorts and a t-shirt and enjoy the 3 weeks that we have of summertime. July is way too hot, and August is the shit. Winter's right around the corner, so I got to take June to be the kickoff of summer. So give me December for Christmas and give me June.
Yeah, I totally get the December one. I feel like that may be the mistake where people are like, oh my God, the Christmas obsessed people are going to obviously vote for that. But
that's right.
I feel like the Christmas hype is too much where everybody just goes over like people are talking about it before Halloween or Thanksgiving get here. And I'm just like,
that's because it's better, Jack. That's because it's better.
Gifts. That's
right, Grinch.
That's what I'm like, just let each month have its own holiday. Then you go a complete 180 and you're like, you know what month is great? One that doesn't have a relevant holiday. June. I get it with the summer, but for me, one of my 2 picks 100% is going to be July because Midwest, it's not that hot. And I feel when you think of...
We can't even go outside out here. We can't in July. We literally can't go outside. It's so hot.
And the whole reason why it makes sense for you in December, it's not that bad. For us, I'm like,
true.
Fuck that. I don't want to do anything in December because it's negative 40 degrees and it hurts my face. July, for me, if you were thinking of like themes or types for the months, July is the quintessential like party month. Everybody's like, either you're in the middle of the summer and you got tons of stuff going on with friends, or you're like cabin season. Obviously, 4th of July is a huge party thing. Barbecues. It's a big, just like, I got nothing going on the weekends except like going to the ball field or going to a friend's barbecue or going out on the lake for the day. Like that's the relaxed, fun summer is what I think of for July. Because like you said, August, you're already dreading going back to school or it's going to start getting to fall. So July is one of my two for sure. And then we're just going to, I guess, keep the end of the year going, and I'm going to get the one in the middle of R2 and go with November, because November's also great. Kind of same thing.
That's
again.
the correct choice.
Again, football, but obviously Thanksgiving's like, to me, the best of the food gathering holidays is Thanksgiving. It's food that only comes out once a year. It's money for the types of food there are. It's also, I've always said this, it's, I'm not to shit on the Christmas pick, but along with like Easter and other ones too, Thanksgiving is the only one where the concept is like, just get everybody together and hang out. There's no like other traditions and stuff. So I kind of always liked that. I thought that was cool. July and November.
I don't know if I'm going to go with my last one. I know one of my two is for sure February. So give me all of the, let me see how many of the sensitive men and all the women give me some Valentine's Day 1.
Targeting our audience of, Okay.
Super Bowl 2.
That's fair.
Only unique month that has leap year 3. Give me February.
The only month that can't even get to 30 days. Underperform.
Yeah. And then for some reason, some people like to go back to school, so give me September, and I got to take my own birthday month. Simple as that.
September's fair. I feel like it's a very clear theme of the end of the year months are much better than the beginning. I mean, we just went 9, 10, 11, 12, so.
Yeah. I guess I get like New Year's, but I guess I'm not picking January. It's just, it's too cold. I don't want it in the Midwest. I get honestly, the whole April showers, like it's just like mucky and gross, and like especially up there, I'm like, I don't know.
Honestly, I feel like I'm more excited about December 31st for New Year's than January 1st because I'm just hungover. So
for sure. Sorry, Ben. That's his birthday. For those that don't know.
Of the crappy months that are left, I will tell you the ones that I picked were going to be left over. August. I thought June. I was wrong there. May. And January for that reason. So all of those I am not picking, obviously, but I am going to go with the final month, closing it out with March, because it's the first. The reason that I don't like February is because it's always somehow the worst, coldest. You think of December as like the heart of winter, but up in the Midwest, February is where it's like the snow's gone, but it's still -12. What's happening? And you're just waiting for it to be nice again. March is where it like starts to have kind of nice days and you feel like it breaking. Also, March Madness. That's great. Yeah. St. Patty's Day. I'm going big on the party holidays.
Yeah, I see that. I wonder if we're in two. Guys, Jack is still not 30. He wants it to be known. He's not 30, damn it.
Just take the other ones, not me. We're going in two very different groups of our friends. It's going to be audiences that are sensitive and love the heartwarming ones.
Have kids in fall and pumpkin spice lattes, and Jack's like, drinking.
I didn't even mention pumpkin spice lattes. That's another big win. But no, March has a lot of like fun stuff going on throughout it. We started talking about spring training as another big one. So I'm a big fan of all of that stuff. Plus spring break, whether you had April, I guess too, but spring break was typically like March 22nd, 27th for me. So a lot of fun stuff going on there, but that's ours. Recapping, I've got October.
I honestly don't know.
October, July, November, March. You got December, September, June,
June, and February.
Nailed it.
Yikes.
I'll put up the third group at 4 teams since it worked out even and see if anybody gives them any votes, just to see. Let's switch it up.
That'd be what?
January, April, May, and August.
May. No, I have August.
Oh, you have August? No, you have September.
And August. August. Oh, sorry, I took June because we just, Yikes.
All right. We're going to see if that one gets
-4 votes.
If either of us lose to that, it counts as a -1 to start the season.
100%.
All right. Well, let us know. What are your favorite 4 months? What did we not miss, but just not take, I guess? We'll put these votes out and see what we can get interaction-wise this year. And next week's topic, assuming we do a draft, it's going to be best places to take a nap. So get your answers ready for that one. We're both dads with children now, and use a good nap at any given time. So that'll be a key one. Tyler will have the first pick on that, so be prepared. You're on the clock. Wrapping this up, closing wise, next episode is going to be next week. Recording on Tuesday, coming out on Wednesdays-ish. As long as technology works for us, we'll be covering week 4, and we'll be having some shorts in the meantime, so be on the lookout for that. Message us draft ideas or your own picks for that upcoming Naps pick. Shout out to our friends of the show, Minnesota Sports, ADH Dads, and the Game Boys. We'll have their links below, so just go and check out their pages, click their YouTube link. We'd appreciate you shouting them out. And go check all of our socials, which are also linked in the show below. So that's it for me. Tyler, send us off with something cool.
Appreciate everyone listening this long as well. We're doing much better at keeping these to an hour. So appreciate all the subs thus far. Like I said, if you guys have any comments, everybody's doing so much greater with all the interaction on the YouTube page and all the shorts, all the likes, comments, subs. We appreciate it. Like I said, we've got like 8 new ones here over the last week and change. So let's keep it going. I'll be curious to see if we can get to 150 here before the end of the season. So tell your friends, if you guys have any takes that you want us to do or anything else, feel free, send them in. We appreciate all the listens all the time as well. But until next time, Pod Squad, peace out.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Victorious POD podcast. Follow us on YouTube at the Victorious POD.